In the last 24 hours, Canon just launched the latest firmware for the EOS R5, and let's take a look at it, the version 1.3 firmware today. I'm Richard, welcome to ZP Productions, and take a look at version 1.3 firmware on the EOS R5. Now, I just show you how to actually upgrade the firmware. It's really simple. Just load the firmware from the website itself, choose Windows or Mac depending on which you choose. Then you have to unzip the file, put inside a drive, like the CF card here, or maybe some SD card, put into the camera itself, go to your settings menu, number 6, which is the one with the firmware, click on firmware and just upgrade. It is really simple. Now, once you upgrade, you will take on the version 1.3 as written in the camera now. Now, in version 1.3, you'll get a few upgrades, literally upgrades. First upgrade you'll get is CLOG3, and that is something that's been rumored for a long time. In fact, CLOG3 is technically a profile that will technically give you better dynamic range for the purpose of video, and in fact, I will take a look at it later. Then you have RAW Light and IPB Light for various resolutions itself. Now, RAW Light is still only available in 8K. So if you click 8K, you see RAW, you will also see RAW Light. And then for IPB Light, you will see in all various formats of 8K and 4K, except high speed, 120 and 100 FPS do not get RAW Light still. And then if you go and see down the spec list, there is one more improvement, which is now you got high speed for Full HD mode, means you can go 100 FPS and 120 FPS for Full HD. And then there are some other various improvements you can read on the side here. I'll just highlight two that are more interesting for photography itself. One of them will be the ability to have full-time electronic manual override, be it in servo mode or in one shot. What it means that in the past, when you're using the old cameras, like the EOS, I would say as the mirrored cameras with the mirror itself, and then you click down, you can always override the camera by just turning the ring. So now in the EOS R5, you can do it full time. So you focus and then you can straight away turn and you get electronic manual override. Now that is not available in the past. It used to be only manual or auto. Now you can override easily with be it one shot or servo mode. And the other thing that improved is the ability to actually save profiles and then after that reload it in the camera itself. Now that may not sound very useful, but I'll tell you that if let's say you send your camera for servicing, that's one thing you can do. You can save the profile first, send it for servicing, comes out, in case the profile get wiped, you can replace the profile and reboot your camera itself. Or if you are a wedding photographer with multiple EOS R5, you can copy that setting across multiple cameras, and it's really easy. Just go and press save and load. Now that is pretty much, I'll say, as the two interesting camera functions. So let's go back to the video functions that improve here. I'll talk about the CLOG3 the last, because that one will have a little bit on how the CLOG3 footage looks like. Let's talk about the IPB Light and the RAW Light. So in the past, you can only use IPB or RAW for certain formats here. And what's the difference between that and the Light version is that the Light version doubles the recording time. And that is significant because if you look at it here, a 128 gig CF Express card, with RAW Light now, you can actually shoot 50 FPS video for almost 1.5 hours, more than 1.5 hours, 1 hour 40 minutes. So that is a great improvement itself. And if you were shooting just 4K, 25 FPS or 24 FPS, you could easily go 3 hours in this IPB Light, which means you extend your recording time with the camera itself, ignoring the overheating. With the same amount of memory, you can record a lot longer and you have files that are smaller and more manageable. So that is really one of the new things that is available in this firmware. Same for the RAW Light. RAW Light actually uses half the amount of data compared to RAW. Now, I personally do not know what's the major improvement between RAW and RAW Light. I have not tested it out yet, and I don't shoot 8K RAW. So I'll leave somebody else to actually explain it. But on general, in a 128 gig card, it goes from 5 minutes to 10 minutes. That is a major improvement. 10 minutes is still a lot of data. I mean, 10 minutes for 128 gig, that is the data you're looking at. So that is for RAW Light. Now, 120 FPS for Full HD is also enabled now. So same thing, go and select high speed mode, and then you can see 100 FPS, 120 FPS, depending on what's the setting on your camera. Is it PAL or NTSC? Now let's go to CLOG3. Now CLOG3 is a brand new lock that's available in R5, and this lock has existed in cine cameras for a long time. In fact, my C200 in front of me has CLOG3. There's also a CLOG2, which is even larger in dynamic range, and it's only available something like the C70 and some other cine cameras. So CLOG3 is a new log profile that is here to actually improve the dynamic range of videos for EOS R5. And let's take a look at one of the footage that is shot with it. You can see that the footage looks almost the same except for the highlights. You can see that the highlights, there is slightly more detail. In fact, you can see a little bit of clouds in the highlights itself. Now, if you look at the vector scope, that is the biggest difference. You actually see a drop in the brightest area goes down, and then you can see a little bit more details in the vector scope. Compared to, say, the old C-Log itself, it looks like, I'm not really sure, half a stop to one stop advantage of the highlights itself, which is a major improvement if you ask me for the R5. It means you get less blown out highlights, less white sky, and a little bit of detail. Still is better than a white sky itself, so a nice improvement for the EOS R5. Now, to activate the CLOG3 is very simple. Go to the same place where you actually set up C-Log, click on it. Now you have off, C-Log and CLOG3, and pretty much there is no difference if you ask me. Click CLOG3 and you can also use view as is, and when I try it, the file that comes out, it looks almost the same except for the highlight gain that you get in CLOG3 itself. So overall, I was really pleased. I mean, Canon just upgraded my R5 to almost a cine camera standard, at least with the CLOG3 itself, and then the raw light means I can use less data to save the files and process them. Now, does it matter to most people? It may matter, it may not matter, it depends how much video you shoot. But to me, where I do quite a bit of video with R5 these days, a smaller file size definitely helps, because more often than not, I don't really need to push and pull like crazy the files, but I just want really nice sharp 4K videos or high-speed 4K videos with this camera itself, and I think it delivers. A lot of my dance videos are shot in 50 FPS, so the new IPB Light will definitely help me managing the file size of this camera itself. And that's about it for today. I mean, the newest firmware for the EOS R5. It's a nice touch that Canon actually improved significantly a lot of functions in the video parts. Now, the only thing they did improve is actually overheating, so I just went to try it out and see whether is there any improvement in overheating. I put it on my bed here, as you can see here. I shot 50 FPS and it lasted for about 36 minutes. The overheat sign appeared by about 31 minutes and then it overheated at 36 minutes. So that is not a major improvement. I mean, it recovered in within 10 minutes, so not a big deal. But I thought that maybe the smaller file size will result in less writing to the camera. Maybe you improve the overheating anyway. Doesn't seem to improve anything. So in regards to overheating, I think the R5 still has the same characteristics as its earlier version. But now with the CLOG3, I think there is many things you can do with this camera in high dynamic range situations. That's about it for today. I hope you enjoyed this short update on the new EOS R5 firmware with 1.3, and I will see you again. Bye bye.